The girl should be in clear and present danger of having sex when talking to you. It's not that anything's necessarily going to happen, but if you guys like each other, that like will be expressed in a sexual way, not in a platonic, that was a fun conversation way. A lot of guys think that because they walk over and said, like, even say you used a direct opener, you say like, hey, you're cute, I want to meet you, right? And then you have 5 minutes of get to know you platonic conversation. Yeah, you had premise on the open, but that premise is depleting as you have that non-man to woman conversation, right? You need to periodically spike it back up and remind her that it's a man to woman conversation. If the frequency with which it's happening is not enough, it's not progressing. If the level of which it's happening, like at first you'll do sort of lightly premisey lines, and then eventually it's more and more and more, like more with the assumption you're together, more with like a sexual undertone, etc. That should be escalating up as well, right? If that's not happening, then you're flatlined at premise or regressing or whatever, right? So, just because there's some doesn't mean there's enough, right? And just because there was some way back here doesn't mean there's still some if it's been like a lengthy platonic exchange, right? You have to keep reminding it. Yeah. There's a sort of a recency bias. What's happened most recently matters the most.
Sure.
So you could still have more premise. That's the short one sentence version of all this that I just said. You could have more premise. Most guys play it way too safe. Even guys who do okay with girls usually are playing it safer than they could. There's different forms of value. You come off as a intelligent, successful, have his shit together, all those kind of things guy, and that's all a form of value. And I think you do tease a little bit, so there's some value from that as well. You seem very sociable, and you have a very good winning, charming personality, but it's all very nice. You're not broaching sexual topics enough to have value in a sexual category. Not that you wouldn't have it if you broached them, but you're just not doing it. You're not playing that game, right? You can't win a basketball game if you're not playing basketball. You can't win the premise game if you're not introducing premise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think what you're doing well. You're just not doing all of the right things you need to. It's the piece is missing. Having the belief that it can escalate and then making the moves to escalate it. And the two go together. That is absolutely, I think, the biggest thing for you. You had very good conversations, even very good interactions, but you didn't look as dangerous as you should have. The girl should be in clear and present danger of having sex when talking to you. Whoa. Does that make sense? Right. So it's not that anything's necessarily going to happen, but if you guys like each other, that like will be expressed in a sexual way, not in a platonic, that was a fun conversation way. And the fact that you're not a scary guy means you have a lot more leeway to be dangerous. You need to have that mentality that you are a asexual human being, and that it is a possibility for you, and it's a possibility for her, and that you both would enjoy it if it happens, and you both can also enjoy the process of moving towards it. Make sense? That's kind of the mentality you should be embodying. And obviously evaluation and all that kind of stuff too, but you probably can do way more premise than you are. Misinterpret things sexually, you exaggerate things, you do push pulls that have a sexual nature to them, or at least a man-to-woman nature to them. Again, we'll do all that stuff here, but the point is, you could be a lot more than you think. When things go well, I want you to think, I did that. That was good. I earned that, right? I'm that guy, right?
Sure.
Now, and then obviously, then you also want to know what did you do to make that happen, and you want to repeat those things. You want to be proactive about it. You don't want to be like, oh, it went well, I must have gotten lucky, and then just drop it.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what you want to do. Number one, attribute it to yourself and realize you are that good, and let that become part of your identity, because that's going to make you more confident in future situations. Number two, say, what did I do that made that happen? And yeah, maybe there was a luck factor, but there's also a you factor, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of the best mentalities that I have for game in general was from playing poker, right?
Yeah.
And poker there's tons of luck in poker.
Sure.
However, you also make your own luck, right? And if you play well throughout the year, you make money. If you play badly, you lose money, right? Because you're making the luck swing in your favor. And that's how game is too, right? Yes, there are lucky breaks and unlucky breaks, but fundamentally your results over a long timeline will have to do with what you did.
Sure.
Right? So attribute that way, okay? And think about it that way. And then when you fail, right, when you have a bad set, I want you to attribute that as there were mistakes made, right? And mistakes can be corrected. Not I wasn't enough or I wasn't attractive or, no, mistakes were made, right?
Sure.
And you want to analyze it long enough to figure out what those mistakes are. Once you've figured out the mistakes, once you've gotten your takeaways from it and you have a plan for how to deal with that situation next time, then I want you to forget it, okay? And that way, when you look back at your history and game, you're gonna remember intensely the successes and almost forget the failures, which also feeds into a good self-image, good positivity, wanting to keep doing game, okay? But attribute your successes to yourself. I heard way too much of, oh no, I didn't do anything, she was just nice from the start. Why do you think she was nice from the start? Because you opened well, you had confidence, because you did it, because all these other guys are standing around not opening her and you actually took action, right? You did a lot to make yourself lucky. And yeah, you did, if you got a great response, you did get a little bit lucky. But you're not part of that. You are part of the fact that luck happened.